Sports Illustrated just called Arizona State one of the most middling teams in the Big 12 this upcoming season in football. And meanwhile, ASU is fighting for a top 100 recruit against Notre Dame and Michigan, and baseball is getting really, really close to postseason. Let's go.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, and welcome back to Locked On Sun Devils. I'm Porrill, and I'm joined as always by Philip Mulford. And today, we have a whole lot of things to talk about in the football world when it comes to ASU right now being looked at by national media as one of the middle of the pack teams in the Big 12. Sports Illustrated released an article. Me and Phil are going to break that down. And Quentin Burrell, big time wide receiver recruit, makes his decision today. We talk about the impact that decision may or may not have, what it means for ASU to even be in the conversation, and what a potential commitment from Burrell means. And then ASU baseball. One series left in the Big 12 before they head off to surprise Arizona for the conference tournament. We have it all right here on Locked On Sun Devils. So, Phil, with that out of the way, ASU, it seems like these past couple seasons, they've built up so much more respect in the national media when it comes to making the college football playoffs, when it comes to getting more national TV games. But at the same time, you can't help but there's always one of these articles, Phil, in the offseason. It happened last season too, where it's just like ASU is not as good as they think they are. And what does ASU have to do to finally get the respect they deserve from national media when it comes to, hey, they actually are one of the premier programs in the Big 12 now?
I guess win like 5 more Big 12 championships. I don't know, man. This is, we have now. Okay, let's put this in context. Back up in just a second. Texas Tech, one of the founding programs of the Big 12, right? Yeah, when they get started, Texas Tech folded in. Up until this past year, where, by the way, we beat Texas Tech. Texas Tech had never won a Big 12 championship. ASU did it in its second year in the conference, right? Same number of college football playoff appearances as these premier teams in the Big 12. So I truly don't know. ASU has had a long storied history of being a top program. I mean, look back to the Frank Kush era. In fairness, under Herm, under Todd Graham, outside of that 1 year where we were all so optimistic, ASU has fallen by the wayside a little bit. But yeah, number 7 this year. Look, Parker, I know a lot of this has to do with the schedule. A lot of this has to do with Sam Leavitt leaving, but it just makes me question how closely these national outlets are actually taking a look at the schools that they're ranking. Because, I mean, you look at our program, you look at the pieces we put together in the wake of losing a bunch of guys to the NFL and Sam Leavitt leaving, and there's a very real argument to say that all of our groups are better this year than they were last year.
Yeah, there is an argument there. And my big question is, and to give this article a grain of salt, is that's comparing us to the heart of the Big 12 this year. And it is taking account for the fact that ASU has so many new players coming in. There's so much unknown when it comes to this ASU team, when it comes to how they will perform on the field together. We all know that they're amazing at practice, that there's no question about that. But how will they perform during the game? And it also looks like these rankings are taking account for the fact that ASU has a gauntlet this upcoming regular season. They play Texas A&M in the non-con, as well as Morgan State, but mostly Texas A&M. And then they go to London to play a conference game against Kansas. They have a tough group of 5 matchup in Hawaii. And then from then, it's 10 straight weeks of football. And this schedule, this ranking is taking accordance with that. So they are doing their research, but at the same time, this is an ASU team that has clearly proved itself. Last year, you have those, not even a bad season. I hate when people look at this past season and they call it a bad season, because it really is not. Historically for ASU, what a solid season, and what a season where you proved you could fight. You lost your starting quarterback. You lost your star wide receiver who was selected top 10 in the NFL draft. You lost so much depth on the offensive and defensive line, but you still were fighting until the last week of the regular season to get a spot in the conference championship game. And if ASU this upcoming season has even half of that fight with the roster that they are going to be in the same spot they are last season, where they're fighting for a conference tournament spot up until the last week of the season.
Yeah, and I went back 2 weeks ago at this point, and you go through the schedule, and even with how difficult the schedule is going to be, you say there's a pretty reasonable 9-3 argument, maybe even better if we overperform in one of these crazy away games. There's a pretty reasonable 9-3 argument coming to ASU this year. But you say, look, ESPN clearly did their research. This article to me reads okay, we see people coming in, we see people going out, we rank from there. They don't mention our schedule at all, Parker. They say, well, they lost Tyson, they lost Ahanacher, they lost Levitt, they lost Brown, lost some other backs. They're not going to be very good, which again, that is what a service level argument from the national media. You know what? Look, there are a lot of D1 programs. I understand, a lot of D1 programs. You can't be an expert at them all, but yeah, this is I don't know, man. I think this one is just a little bit. I mean, you put us we put us three spots back of Houston, which had a great year last year. No, don't get me wrong. This article, by the way, also came out after Brendan Sorsby was announced that he was gambling, betting on his own team, likely never going to play another snap of college football again. I think that is incredibly likely at this point. And ESPN still had Texas Tech as the number one team in the conference. So yeah, national disrespect is endemic in the media. And I guess, Parker, I guess we're just going to have to go and string off like 5 straight Big 12 championships, round of 4, win a couple national championships. And then we might get ranked top 4 in our conference going forward. I think that might happen.
Or apparently you just have to have oil money, and
True.
then you can be top 2 in the conference. So or crumble cookie, depends on it depends on it. But I do want to talk about that real quick. Is what I believe is the teams that should be ranked higher than ASU and where ASU deserves to be, according to my thoughts. Number 1, obviously Texas Tech. A little bit more shaky because they did lose Brendan Sorsby, but they just have so much funds and they've done so good in the transfer and recruiting. They deserve that top spot. BYU also, until they prove that they are they got robbed of the college football playoff last season, and until they prove that they are taking a step back when it comes to their production on the field, they are top 2 in the conference, whether you like it or not. And the big questions that come in this article is Arizona's at 3.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a spot ASU could easily be in. And I understand why they were putting Arizona in this spot, because obviously they beat Arizona State head-to-head last season. But let's not forget that a big part that should be considered is consistency. This is just a second-year head coach. And Arizona, they did take a big step this last season, but let's not forget ASU, in the eyes of the media, took a step back last year in their second year, in their real second year in the Big 12. So who's not to consider that Arizona might take a step back this season under their second-year head coach? There's a lot of things to consider. I think there's more of an argument there than there is for Houston, because Houston, just so many different shades of a football team there, Phil. You have a team that continually surprised, but then just fell off in the big-time moments. But the one I was really shocked about, that I have no idea why they're there, is Oklahoma State. Because I love this Oklahoma State team, but why is the upside there? They have not shown it on the football field. They have not shown it at all on the football field. And another big question mark that ASU is easily ahead is TCU. Those are all the teams ahead of ASU. ASU should easily be ahead of TCU, Oklahoma State, and the only arguments I could see is Houston and Arizona, but I would still put ASU ahead of all 4 of those teams.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. You look at the Arizona article, they give you 3 paragraphs, the biggest coaching move, what went wrong, what went right in the last year, kind of what's informing the ranking here. And the article is almost verbatim. ASU, coaching staff retained, lost 4 starters to the NFL, plus some other guys. You got some big talent coming back. And still they're saying, Arizona is the 3, which again, I refuse to believe. I'll give him basketball for now. We believe Randy Bennett's going to start to go and get us where we want to go. I refuse to believe that Arizona is that far ahead of us in any given year, especially in the Kenny Dillingham era. So again, national media continues to disrespect. Apparently ASU is just going to have to win like 7 championships. The number keeps going up every time we talk about it. Just going to have to win like 7 national championships. And then, maybe we'll get the respect we deserve, but doesn't matter because while national media may say, look, Arizona State, ASU number 7 in the Big 12 this year, we're still competing for some of the best recruits in the country. And today, top 4, Quentin Burrell, not top 4, top 100, Quentin Burrell commits today. ASU right up there with some of the biggest dogs in college football. You ever looked at your bank account and thought, I had money here? Where'd my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions in this modern streaming subscription-based era, it can get overwhelming incredibly quickly. So that's where Rocket Money comes in, because they want to go help you take control of your finances all in one place. It tracks all the subscriptions, your Netflix, your Hulu, your Apple TV, your Spotify, your Amazon, your Twitch, you get the point. All in one spot, and can help cancel the ones that you don't need with just a couple taps. It's a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. As frustrating as it is that national media doesn't respect us, it's even more frustrating that you have not checked out the Every Air Club, LockedOnSunDevils.supercast.com. It's ad-free listening to Locked On Sun Devils, plus every single other Locked On show across the entire network, and access to a members-only Discord where we talk about ASU. I hope. Come join me. It's a lot of fun. And if you are joining us, there we go. I got it this time. If you're joining us on YouTube, hit the sub button, like the video. Let me know, is ESPN crazy? Are we crazy? Are we just way too high on the sauce here about how good ASU is going to be next year? I don't think we are. But tell me if we. I mean, I had a Utes fan telling me we had no chance at Hildebrand in the comments yesterday. So surely you can do better than that. But Parker, talk about recruits. Quentin Burrell, top 100 wide receiver out of Mount Carmel, Illinois, is going to go and commit today. ASU is in his top 4. And from what I'm hearing, now this is not a guy that we are crystal balled to get. Michigan, his sister went to Michigan. They are kind of odds on where everyone's looking. But Michigan under Whittingham has not had the best wide receivers. And from everything I'm hearing, if it's not Michigan, it will be ASU.
Yeah, top 8 recruit in Illinois. Michigan has been hounding this guy. And Burrell has been heavily linked to Michigan, obviously took several visits there officially, but more recently took an unofficial visit to Michigan, and that's when all the crystal balls started to come out. Oh, he took an unofficial visit there. There's all this linking to him. We have no idea what's happening but behind the scenes, but it's looking like Burrell, his most interest has been at Michigan ever since that unofficial visit. But Phil, some of the reports that we're hearing is it's looking like top 4, Notre Dame, Missouri, Michigan, Arizona State, Alabama's on the outside looking in, but it's mainly those 4 teams. But sneakily, it looks like it's actually a top 2, Phil. It's looking like it's Michigan with Arizona State right there making a push just on the outside. And we'll see if Hines Ward and crew, they could potentially woo Burrell to make that massive commitment that would shock everybody today.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right? If this was Michigan of last couple years, I'd be a little bit less confident about us being able to go and shock and shake things up a little bit. But Kyle Whittingham, as good as he has been at Utah, has not had a first round wide receiver as long as he's been coach at Utah, right? You are a top 100 wide receiver recruit in college. That means that you want to go to the next level. I mean, everyone does, but you have a somewhat realistic idea that if things go your way, you can go get drafted, first couple rounds of the NFL draft, can go play in the NFL. And if you're judging between a guy, very good coach, Michigan's going to be a good program. I don't doubt that one. I'm excited to see what Whittingham's going to be able to do. I always kind of like the guy. But you're picking between Hines Ward. He's got a gold jacket. He knows what it takes to get guys to the next level. ASU has had a first or second round wide receiver pick like every year the last couple years. You're picking between that and a guy who has never put a guy in the league at the wide receiver position. I would think that would actually, that makes your decision pretty easy.
When you explain it like that, it makes perfect sense. But there are factors to consider. He is from Chicago. Michigan is a lot closer. Missouri is also a lot closer. But in this modern era, it seems like location matters less and less when it comes to recruiting. So unclear whether or not distance is a factor. Could also just be he's a Big Ten guy. He watched Michigan growing up. I know plenty of friends who are from Chicago that are Michigan fans for some reason. Not a lot of Illinois, but Northwestern fans, but surprisingly a good amount of Michigan fans. And I believe Michigan played a game at Wrigley last year, the season before. Plenty of Michigan fans showing up to that game. So Chicago is a hotbed for Michigan talent. So there is a connection there. But if there's one thing we've learned earlier this week with the recruiting of Marshawn Ivey, Phil, it's that ASU will recruit you no matter where you are and no matter what teams you're linked to. ASU beat out Missouri and a team that just won the national championship game in Miami to secure Marshawn Ivey. Now, this guy is a little bit more highly rated than Marshawn Ivey, not by much, but just a little bit so. And this is a guy that ASU's had to battle to get back in the race for. And they are trying to get that last photo finished to try and get Burrell. But this is a guy that ASU is having to fight out of their wheelhouse for. They're having to go to Illinois, to recruit this guy and try to get back in the race with him. And if ASU is able to get this guy, Phil, it says a lot. Says so much about what ASU is able to do when it comes to their recruiting game, because the big mantra coming into this offseason was that ASU is really good at Texas and Arizona and California getting those underrated guys, but we'll see if they're able to get those big-time guys anytime soon. But now they're proving they can get big-time guys, and they're starting to flip the script on they're able to recruit outside Texas and Arizona.
That is the big story, right? We talk about the Texas Tempe pipeline you're talking about, keeping the local guys, but it is a mark of an elite program. It is the mark of a program that is, say, in Alabama or in Ohio State or Michigan that we're talking about here, that can go and say, I really like this guy. He's out of Hawaii. He's out of Washington. He's out of Maine. He's out of Illinois, wherever this guy pops up. I really like this guy. It doesn't matter that I am not local to the area. I got the brand. I got the name. I got the coaches. I can sell us. We're going to go and get this guy that we want to get. And it has not been ASU for a while that has been able to do that. Yeah, we had some big recruits in the Herm Edwards era, but that was, I mean, who knows exactly what happened there. The recruiting violations that we know of. Don't know if anything else happened. But this feels a lot more sustainable. This feels more like growth rather than just kind of some flukishness that we had under Herm. And even if we don't get him, right, the fact that ASU is in these top fours amongst these elite programs in Michigan, Ohio State, we saw all these other programs, that's big news. But also, we do need to talk about what this would mean in the last couple minutes for our recruiting for the wide receiver class coming in, because already we have one star. We got Nico Bland out of California. We then get Quentin Burrell coming in as well. All of a sudden, I mean, we talk about the wide receiver room this year with Amari Miller, Reed Harris, everyone else. You add Quentin Burrell, you add Nico Bland on top of it. Oh, man. Hines Ward is potentially just doing something. We talk about ASU's running back Kenny coming in, turning maybe into a little bit of a QBU as well. Ohio State, right? It's the big wide receiver you. Talk about this room that Hines Ward's starting to build. ASU wide receiver U. It's starting to come together, man. This is we get him, our wide receiver room starts to look quite something.
They are laying the foundation. They absolutely are. And Hines Ward, one of the major criticisms, I wouldn't believe it, Phil, but I actually saw a criticism to Hines
Ooh.
Ward over the offseason. And they were talking about how it seemed like he only left an impact on Jordan Tyson. It was just a comment, so I'm sure it was nothing but a troll. But it did lead me to think about that line of thought, Phil, because you could say that, but also at the same time, I'd chum it up as Jordan Tyson's just an insane talent. It's not the fact that Hines Ward was only left an impact on one guy. It's that Jordan Tyson was just that good. And this is the season, whether you like it or not, Phil, that we are actually going to see how much of an impact Hines Ward can leave on the entirety of a wide receiving room. Because we've seen his impact on Jordan Tyson and moments here and there in the season, the Jalen Moss game against Duke. We've seen other guys step up, Malik McLean, Big 12 championship a pair of years ago. But this is going to be the season, Phil, where we see how Hines Ward can guide an entire wide receiving room.
Yeah, I have a lot of faith in him, man. I mean, we're talking about everything he's been doing to get guys in, blocking a lot better on the perimeter than we saw it in last year. Was a bit of a regression, unfortunately, but already seeing that look fantastic. I have a lot of faith in Hines Ward. I think that he is the real deal. He's doing a great job developing these guys, and it means that as we keep talking about it, whoever is the starting quarterback's not going to have to do too much. Toss it up there. One of our guys is going to get open. He's going to make a flashy play. It's going to be fun. But we do have to turn our focus to baseball, because if you're watching this when it goes live, tomorrow is the start of a final regular season series against Houston. Not a very good team in the Big 12, bottom of the roster, but it also means we have to start thinking about what's going to happen in the postseason, because the Big 12 tournament in surprise starts incredibly soon. And these last couple weeks, the last opportunity ASU has to go and make an argument before Selection Sunday on May 25th. ASU baseball last week, before losing the series to Oklahoma State, was ranked 16 in the country. Certainly of the top 25, lowest RPI, which is why we still weren't necessarily hearing those regional rumblings as strongly as you would have liked to see it for a 16 team in the country. But losing Oklahoma State now, sitting here at 23. And Parker, I think we start talking about the crystal ball, right? The predictions that we're seeing coming in, because there are two of them. One of them would be the Gainesville Regional per On3. That would be Florida hosted. Another one out in LA. But importantly, ASU is a 3 seed in the regional, which is not where we want to be.
And not only a 3 seed, Phil, but a stacked regional as well. I believe it was the Los Angeles one where it was UCLA, USC, excuse me, and then a really solid SEC team in there, and then ASU, and then another solid group of 5 team. And the Gainesville one, it was an SEC team, Oregon State, and then ASU. And as people know, 2 teams move on. And obviously ASU is a team that can fight, but you also, with the schedule that they've been on, how clearly weathered they've been from this tough schedule, they need a favorable seeding. They really do. Not to say they can't be the underdogs. I mean, we saw ASU softball play as the underdogs, and this is an ASU team that came back from 7-run deficits twice this season, so they can play from behind. They can play when the odds are not in their favor, but this is a team that will need some help and needs a beneficial spot. And the best place they can do so, Phil, the best place where they can earn a better seeding is the upcoming series against Houston, but then this postseason tournament where ASU has traditionally not done too well in the Big 12 tournament. So we'll see if ASU can turn things around and get back on the groove of things.
And talk about this Houston series. We need to do more to my eye, we need to do more than just beat Houston. We need to just beat the brakes off Houston in this series. This is one of those times where it's college ball. You know, Willie's never saying, "Hey guys, he's up a little bit. You're up 20 runs. It's good." You're 6 runs. Like, no. But this is absolutely one where you have to put your foot on the throat of this team. You have to crush it down. You want to 10-run rule them. You want to mercy rule them every single game. You want to let up like maybe 3 runs the entire series. You really want to prove going into the postseason that ASU absolutely deserves to be there, because we're in a great spot going into the Big 12 tournament. Maybe not a great spot from a regional perspective, at a national perspective. I mean, any chance you're going to play in the postseason is great, but not where we want to be. We are the number 2 seed in the Big 12 going into this final weekend. That is good news. If we can go sweep Utah, not a lot that anyone can do to follow us up. Having a good seed in surprise is incredibly important, but I am a little worried when we start to talk about tournament play, Parker, because we have, Cole Carlone, right? We got a couple other guys that have been pitching incredibly well, but outside of that, ASU, as good as our offense is, as likely as they are to 10-run anyone in the country, our pitching staff, I'm incredibly worried about just the depth we have for an actual deep tournament run.
Mm-hmm. I'm concerned about that too, Phil. But the main thing that I've really been concerned about, and I know it was easily earlier in the season, and I know we've mentioned it a couple times, but how about the way ASU competed against the SEC teams earlier this year? And those are all postseason ready teams. Oklahoma, Mississippi State, Tennessee, Texas A&M. Those are 4 straight losses for ASU. Those are teams that ASU, even though they split the series against Oklahoma, second game, Oklahoma, they fought back and they got the win. But Mississippi State, ASU looked rattled, played from behind basically halfway through to the end. Tennessee, once again, ASU just couldn't get anything going offensively. And Texas A&M, the same thing happened. The funny thing is, Phil, we talk about bullpen issues right now, but in those games against those SEC teams, it was the offense that really struggled to get any consistency. You had Hairston, you had New every now and then, but when it came against those high-quality pitchers from other teams, ASU's offense really struggled. And so the fear is, Phil, that ASU's offense doesn't do well against high-quality pitchers, and their bullpen, which is in tatters right now, just waiting to get a breath, is not going to be in a great spot when it comes into postseason, and both sides are going to get exposed.
Yeah, and the other problem, or you talk about our offense, Landon Hairston, best hitter, best player, the entirety of the first half, maybe even a little longer, of the college baseball season. Landon Hairston has not had the second half that his first half would have predicted. Now, it hasn't been bad. He's still hitting above 400. He still has 25 home runs. But he has not been the single scariest hitter in college baseball that he was through the first half of the year. And especially against in the Oklahoma State series, the first 2 games, he went 1 for 4 with a walk or 2 each game. Just not what we need out of the single best guy on our roster. So he has chosen.
For a guy.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for a guy that commanded 10 intentional walks for the first half of the season, has not lived up to it in the second half. But Willie did say, Phil, and this is important to consider, that Hairston, obviously, he is a home run hitter from what we're seeing, but Willie was talking about, hey, Hairston was recruited as a guy, and he is a guy that's just a really good hitter that just happens to hit home runs, and the home runs will come. He said that in his last post-game presser. But I don't know necessarily that if everybody's just looking at the home run column and seeing zeros and they're taking that out, just cherry picking that. But also in that Oklahoma State series, Hairston looked a little rattled, Phil. And I don't know if that's just me used to the dominant Hairston, but he wasn't playing up to his normal snuff. I think there's a little bit more to it.
I mean, he's had, in the last 2 series, he's had 2 multi-hit games. All right, he went 0 for 3 first game UCF. Second game he went 2 for 5, and that 1 for 3, 1 for 4, 1 for 4, 2 for 4, 1 for 3. You go back to the Baylor series, he's only had 2 multi-hit games, right, in the last 3 series. Which, you talk about Hairston being this incredible hitter, right? Just a pure hitter. It just happens to hit home runs. I'm not worried about the home runs. He's got guys behind him with power. Balls are going to. I want him to get on base. I want him to just be productive. And we need him to do more than go 1 for 5 against Baylor. Right? We need him to go more than 1 for 4 against Oklahoma State a couple times. I don't know if this is the high profile means pitchers are preparing for him a little bit more, just cooling off, letting the hype get to his head. But yeah, this second half of the season has not been what we needed to see out of Hairston. We're going to have to see, of course, seven of the 9 starters for ASU are batting over 300. We do have a couple guys that are pitching incredibly well for ASU right now, even if again, as we talk about, the bullpen is in a really rough spot. You know, Cole Carlone looks great. Cole Klecker, not as solid necessarily, but we've had a couple guys having a great year. We're gonna have to see if that's gonna be enough, though. You only got to win 3 games if you're the number 2 seed in the Big 12 tournament. You start to play on Thursday. ASU, if they sweep this, that's when they're gonna start. So, can we do it? Will our pitching last 3 games? Those are the questions that we're going to hopefully pay attention to this weekend. But as for us, we are done here today. If you made it this far, you should go check out the Everyday Club, LockedOnSunDevils.supercast.com. It gives you access to ad-free listening, members on the Discord. You know the deal. If you're on YouTube, we're going to send you for the first ever 24/7 National Locked On College Network, where you can get access. You're going to see everything that's happening all around the wide world of college sports. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure you go listen, second listen to Locked On College Basketball. But as for us, we will see you tomorrow.